Hey everyone, welcome from the depths. I'm Minty, and this is episode 11 of the Battleship Brawl Season 5 tournament. This episode, well, first off, we have a little bit of a problem. The Wilhelm class Schwer slush blah 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 by Spearnov is disqualified. Why, do you ask? Well, because it has downward-facing propellers. The rules specifically state that all propellers must be mounted facing rearward. They cannot be used for roll stabilization or to help with buoyancy and keep your ship upright. This is illegal, and unfortunately I tried to remove the propellers to see if it would function without them so it could continue on, but no, the answer is no, not really. It practically capsizes just doing a turn at full health with those removed, and gets quite close to like just having the water be above the deck line. Like the water comes up to like just under, like just like halfway up the uh the parts of the railings that are like bolted to the hull. So it will probably sink almost immediately upon taking damage without those propellers. And that's if it doesn't capsize in a turn first. So it will be disqualified. Unfortunately, with the way this tournament format works, disqualifications can't just be removed like they could be in previous tournaments, because the points, you earn points for each battle you fight, and if this group fights 4 battles while every other group fights 5, well, they're not going to get as many points. They're going to be at a severe handicap. Um, and I don't want to, like, we've got a perfect number, of groups. Like, the groups are all even, so I don't want to have to re-jostle the groups around either. That would be kind of a pain to do in the middle of the tournament. So instead, what I'm going to do is this ship cannot earn any points in the tournament. 0. And as a penalty and a bonus for its opponents, I suppose you could say, for scoring purposes, this ship will always be scored as if it was despawned, regardless of how much HP it has. Its HP is 0 as far as scoring is concerned for every single round it participates in. So the only variance in fighting this ship will come from how much damage it does to you. So yeah, that's how that's going to be handled. So yeah, unfortunately, that rule's pretty clear cut. There's no ambiguity there. It's specifically stated. So unfortunately, that ship has to be disqualified. However, the Tomoyo, it's the rise of Tomoyo. Uh, I can't remember all of the things because they're all. I think I'm gonna wait for the thing to scroll by while I. The rise of the indomitable Tomoyo Sakagami, the strongest fighter in all of Hikarazi, or Hikari, Hikarizaka. Yeah, because I can pronounce that. I can pronounce things like that totally fine. I'm just gonna call it the Tomoyo. Well, it is armed with 3. Let's go ahead and just do that real quick to get everything to load in properly. 3 triple barrel turrets. It's got a catapult launched fighter here. Just decorative. It's not an actual aircraft. And these faux secondaries. It's a little bit low in the water, but it'll come up, once the battle progresses a little bit. Got a pretty nice looking superstructure. It's a pretty nice looking ship overall, honestly. Though I don't get this area. Like there's nothing in here. It's just a big old open space that's like held up by sticks. I mean, I get that these are probably meant to be like supporting the stuff above it and everything, but I don't know why it was done like that when there's nothing in here. Because I'm sure there's a big empty open space here, but this one is completely closed off. I mean, there was probably a style of battleship that had something like this, but it had a purpose and a point, and it wasn't just a big empty spot that does nothing. So I don't know about that one. We've got the superstructure up here, looking pretty cool. These scaffolding things. It's a very nice looking ship overall. And let's go ahead and get the camera in position and see how this battle goes and how many points the Tomoyo scores. the battle underway. Oh, that gun shot a little early. I think the gun was still under the water at that point, so it's not really gonna hit. Tomoyo about to take a hit to the side there. Looks, oh, well, maybe not. Looks like the shells from the Wilhelm have an altitude fuse and were detonating just under the water before they actually impacted with the Tomoyo's hull. Got some pretty nice holes knocked in the Wilhelm there. Well, that gun taking some good hits. So that's a turret popped. Now remember, the actual damage done to the Wilhelm here doesn't matter. It is at 0 HP as far as scoring is concerned. But the quicker the Tomoyo knocks off those guns, the less damage it will take, and then therefore the more points it will score. Looks like the Tomoyo only has its rear gun able to fire on the enemy right now. Took some hits to this belt armor. Ooh, looks like the one of those forward guns took some damage there. Tomoyo needs to, turn and get those forward turrets working again. That rear turret on its own isn't going to do enough. Really high arcing cram shot there, but it just missed. Another hit to the Tomoyo's belt there. Does not look like that did any critical damage that time though. Unless if that hole's from it. No, it doesn't look like it got in there and hit the turret. There we go, the front turrets are getting back into things. That was basically a mortar shot. Alright, that's a big old volley heading out to the Wilhelm here. Ooh, was that a turret hit? Yep, I think that was a turret hit. Yep, there goes that turret cap. Looks like this turret is disabled as well. If the Wilhelm doesn't have any weapons left, well, no. I was gonna say I could just end it and score it because it doesn't matter what HP it gets to, but shaving off potentially, almost 7 minutes of repair time for the Tomoyo wouldn't exactly be fair to it. Oh, that turret just blown completely off there. It's kind of hard to tell because actually I don't even think, does the Tomoyo have any repairs at all, or is it just using steam? I think that's just steam power because it's got a very, very consistent drain, and I'm not seeing any HP increases. Because if this is the HP it's going to be at in 6 minutes, then there's not really a reason to let this continue to play out. Yeah, it's not actually repairing. I thought when I saw the materials decreasing, I thought it was repairs being done, but it's just steam power. And the Wilhelm has no materials and no guns, so I'm just going to go ahead and call this battle over in favor of the Tomoyo. So it would have won regardless of the disqualification. So yeah, it gets, what was it, 96.8? Yep, 96.8. 0. 0 and 0. I mean, it's going to be a little bit hard to beat 96.8. That's a pretty good score right now. But we'll go ahead and line things up. And basically, the moment the Wilhelm is no longer able to fire, or the Tomoyo goes below 96.8% HP, I'm just going to call the battle there, because it's not going to change anything. I can't see because it's so dark. Oh, there we go. Found the ships. Let's see how this goes. Tomoyo waiting to fire a little bit longer this time, so its first shell didn't dunk into the ocean. So far, the Tomoyo not really taking damage. Rear turret getting really close to being hit there several times, but just barely avoiding it. Oh, it's already down to 96.9% this time. If it gets hit again, it's basically... I'll let it play out for a little bit longer, even though... As soon as the Tomoyo takes another hit, it'll be impossible for it to get a better score than it already has. I'll let it play out a little bit just to watch it, just to have some fun with it. So they really shouldn't penalize the Tomoyo with less screen time because its opponent got disqualified. Yeah, see how much of a buoyancy issue the Wilhelm is having already? That's with the propellers on, and with very minor damage overall, really. I don't think there would have been much of a difference between the Tomoyo's score with the DQ'd version of the ship with the propellers, or the allowed version without them, probably. But the rules are the rules, and when there's some ambiguity, I try to be a little bit lenient and not be, you know, a jerk about it. But that one's clear cut. It ricocheted off that. I was like, how did that shell ricochet? It's like, oh, heavy armor on the turret cap. That's how. Well, those turrets get popped off, though, and suddenly there's a lot less weight and the ship balances out. Is there an actual mortar on this ship or somewhere, or do the barrels just get sheared off and it has to fire at a high angle? I'll have to pay attention to that in the third round. Tomoyo, how do you miss at this range? Tomoyo's winning this pretty handily despite the illegal nature of the Wilhelm. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call the second round there, because it's not going to change anything by letting it continue to go, and I already spent a lot of time on this this episode with having to deal with the disqualification and stuff, and yeah, I don't want to spend more time on it than I have to when one of these ships just basically doesn't exist. So yep, for this third round, you know, it's unfortunate. I wish things were a little bit better, but for this round, the moment the scores are set, I'm going to call it here as well, just so I can move on with my day. Oh, and hey, look at that! It's less than 96.8 already on the Tomoyo, so that is going to be the Tomoyo's score for this one, because it doesn't have repair bots. If it had repair bots, it'd be a completely different story, but it does not. Getting a lot of over-penetrations on the Tomoyo's bow there. But yeah, so the Tomoyo is going to score 100 points for despawning its opponent, which it probably would have done if I had let the battle play out in that anyway. But yeah, the Wilhelm will score 0 for anything because, well, it's disqualified. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed despite the little bit of a hiccup we had here, and I'll see you on the battlefield.